So Corinna, I have to ask this because there's lots of urban legends about what a playmate has to do and what a playmate is, and I guess the one that's most often repeated is that in order to be a playmate, you have to sleep with Hugh Hefner. Is that true?
Yes, no, no.
Remember, Corinna, there's no editing to this.
No, I would not have made the cut. I'd be out. I mean, no offense, have fun, but yeah, no, that was not a prerequisite. I know hundreds of girls who did not sleep with Hef, who are a lot of my friends, we laugh about that. I'm like, no, my gosh, and
welcome to Old Guy Talks to Me, a podcast dedicated to helping guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. Ladies, if you want to know what your guy is thinking, this podcast is for women too. Each week, a special guest helps you create that life you've imagined. We talk anti-aging medicine, personal growth, relationships and hot sex. Yeah, you hear me, getting laid more frequently. Other guy vices, and topics that many don't want to talk about but need to. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to be old. Don't want to miss anything? Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review this podcast. And be sure to go to www.thestandard.academy/magazine and grab a free copy of our new digital magazine, The Standard Academy, where we talk about erogenous zones, growing hair back, and other things that will help you create that kick-ass life. Now get ready to listen up and share with friends.
This is Orr's official Old Guy at oldguytalkstome.com, a podcast dedicated to helping older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And, sometimes that means, sometimes I have the duty and the responsibility of talking to a former Playboy Playmate. And we all remember, I'm sure every guy my age and younger remembers the first time they saw a copy of Playboy. I remember mine. It was in Barberton, Ohio, which was outside of Akron. And my uncle had it stuffed underneath his mattress. So we would not find it, but we did find it. I think, like I said, I think most guys will remember the first time they found a copy of Playboy, because up until then, it was actually trying to look sideways at National Geographic and the pictures there of the women in there. So it was very interesting. So my guest today is Corinna Harney-Jones, and she burst onto the scene when she appeared in the 1991 August issue of Playboy as the featured centerfold at the tender age of 18. She went on to win the coveted title of Playmate of the Year and graced the cover of the June 1992 issue. Those accomplishments kicked off a 30-year career in the entertainment business, during which she worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. She produced and starred in her first feature film, Pitcher and the Pinup, and appeared in motion pictures Vegas Vacation and Rat Race, in addition to appearances in a host of television programs. In 2021, she added a Best Actress trophy to her mantle for her role in the independent short film Hit on Me. Most recently, Corinna produced a highly acclaimed clue-solving pub crawl comedy, Alibi, the show that isn't a show, in downtown Las Vegas, which featured Southern Nevada's best comedians and improvisers. Her career also went full circle with The Bunny Chronicles, a podcast which chronicles and pays homage to the incredible legacy of Hugh Hefner through the stories of those who worked most closely with him on the iconic publication, the Playboy magazine. Corinna produces and hosts the podcast along with her fellow Playboy Playmate, Echo Johnson, January 1993. And over the past 30 years, Corinna has a balanced career and a family. She has been married to her husband, Chris, for 27 years, and they have one beautiful daughter together. All right, Corinna, thank you very much for coming on the program.
You are welcome. My gosh, I love how you said it's your duty. It's your duty to have the Playmate on. That's funny.
Well, I try, there's a thing I'm actually reading a book called Atomic Habits, and they say if you want to make habits last, new habits last, make them fun. So that's why I call it my duty. So.
Oh, fun. Atomic Habits. That's
yeah,
fun.
it's a great book. It's a great book.
Yeah.
So Corinna, I always start the interview with this question of all my guests. What is the most important thing you've done today?
Probably feed my dogs. That would be the most important thing I did.
Okay.
And well, honestly, I'm backtracking here. The most important thing I did, I was every day, it's just my personal thing. I love to study the Word of God. So okay. I listen to my, that's my encourager in the morning in prayer, and then feed the dogs. But it's pretty important to feed the dogs.
Sure. Absolutely. I think everyone has, if you are anywhere of an achiever, which you are obviously, as we get into your career, that a lot of what you find out, a lot of people that are achievement oriented have a morning ritual. And that's very important to start off the day. I start off the day. I have actually an hour to get my day started every morning. I actually interviewed somebody that starts his day off with a cigar. His name is Larry Winget, and he's actually a famous New York Times bestselling author and public speaker. But he starts his day off with a cigar. Then he goes in the back, with a cup of coffee and thinks.
That's his thing. I do love my coffee, but not a cigar. Yeah.
Well, there's always that opportunity to try one.
Yeah, so, maybe I'll start the new morning ritual with a cigar.
With a cigar, yeah.
What?
If you do, I want a picture of that. Okay.
Okay. All right. I used to enjoy a cigar now and again, but
not to get off the subject here of your interview, but I actually the old guy did get called out by his youngest daughter that I need to teach her how to smoke a cigar, and she said, like, if I was a boy, you would already taught me. And, and she was right. She was right. And so every once in a while we go out and have a cigar. So Corinna, what was your life like before you got interested in becoming a Playboy Playmate?
Well, the truth is I was never interested in becoming a Playboy Playmate. But I mean, I was like, I was a kid really. So I was a tomboy. At the time, I liked to go jet skiing. I had a lot of friends that were jet ski racers, actually. Mm-hmm. So I loved going to the Lake Havasu. I spent a lot of time in the sun. I loved four-wheeling and, camping and all of those things. But I mean, it was one of those opportunities that showed up that I grasped at my mom's actual urging, because she's like, hey, I think this is a great opportunity for you. After the insult that I felt when my boyfriend at the time said, there's this ad in the paper that says Playmates wanted, and I think you'd be perfect. And I was thinking, oh, Playmates, because I was a youth camp volunteer and all of these things. So I thought, awesome. I could help. I didn't know if it was working with kids or the elderly. So I thought, great, a Playmate, checkers with the elderly, or, going and being like a big sister. And when he said, no, it's Playboy magazine, and I think that you probably could be a Playmate, you should try this. And I was so upset, and I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, you're not going to believe what Dean wants me to do. He found an ad in the paper that says Playmates wanted. And my mom got real quiet, and she's like, I think this could be a huge opportunity for you. It took me back. I was like, what? But that's all she wrote. I ended up becoming Playmate of the Year, which was unexpected as well.
So that's not, I think a typical response from a family, from a parent would be like, what are you thinking? And I'm sure that a lot of other, other women have gotten that kind of a resistance from their family, and maybe
a lot of them want, like you said, a lot of them, it was their aspiration. That's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the difference may have been that my mom just knew, I had a hard time in school. I'm very creative, and I'm always, I had a hard time concentrating. And so she's like, well, she thought about it. It may not have been a wise choice for my sister or anyone else, but she thought, I think this will be good for you, which is kind of funny.
So Corinna, what's the actual process that someone like you goes through to become a playmate? I mean, what happens? You say, okay, I saw this ad, and was it, I assume it in 1991 or what, that time it wasn't a website, it was a phone number to call.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is Marie Erickson was the talent scout, if you will. And it doesn't always go that way. I mean, sometimes another playmate would submit a girl that she thought was suitable to be a playmate. And Marie wanted to be a playmate, and beautiful, beautiful lady. And she was very good friends with the photo editor, Gary Cole, who is still a dear friend of mine. And Gary said, okay, because she lives here in Vegas. He said, well, why don't you start scouting, because you can make there's a certain percentage that you make if a finder's fee. Right. And so she put an ad in the paper, and I guess I was the only one that ended up in the magazine that she scouted. But not only that, I also ended up Playmate of the Year, which is kind of fun for her too. And my cousin was in her backyard when I went to go test, but that's how I did it. But it's called testing, the girls have to test and everything. Hef always was the one that approved all of that. And the face, it sounds funny, but I think of it as art. He would always yay or nay all the test images, and sometimes people mail them in, sometimes people submit the girls, but that's all the past. I don't even know how they do it now.
Sure. So when you become a playmate, what exactly is that a job when you become a playmate?
It is. I right away, I had to learn all kinds of etiquette, travel etiquette, because I was 18, then turned 19, 20, but I worked for Playboy up until my 30s doing promotions. Mm-hmm. So making appearances, a lot of PR, representing the brand. So it was a lot of fun for me. Back when it was video, I had a Playmate of the Year video, and I would have to go to all the video stores all over travel all over the United States, make appearances, sign autographs, different events, it goes on and on.
Yeah. So for some of you in the audience that are really young, you may not know what a video store is, but, but it used to be called Blockbuster, and you had to actually go in and rent the video.
Yeah.
That's like a trip back in time, going to video stores. So, and then what does it mean to be selected Playmate of the Year? And what's that? Tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, there obviously are 12 girls in the year. So you have, your January through. And then at the end of the year, people are, it has been done differently, I guess, throughout the years, but they started allowing people to vote. I know that for mine, there was an 800 number to call in and vote for your favorite, playmate that is selected Playmate of the Year. But I know that Hef and they all got together for that too, the heads of Playboy, if you will, to select the Playmate of the Year. So yeah, I remember that phone call very well, because I thought somebody was playing a prank on me. I was living in Long Beach with some friends at the time and working, in LA. And I remember the call, Corinna, we just got out of our meeting and we have selected you as our 1992 Playmate of the Year. I'm like, who is this? It was fun, a lot of fun. And then I was on a plane to Jamaica and we did my Playmate of the Year layout there, all of the images. It was fun, adventure.
Do you need accountability? Are you looking to change the course of your life but have failed to keep on track? Too often we take in information and fail to act. Do you need an accountability program to stay the course? Then go to www.thestandard.academy and find out about my accountability program that goes with my course that helps you find out what you want, why you want it, and how to get it. The accountability program keeps you on track to get results.
So Corinna, I have to ask this because there's lots of urban legends about what a playmate has to do and what a playmate is, and I guess the one that's most often repeated is that in order to be a playmate, you have to sleep with Hugh Hefner. Is that true?
Yes. No. No.
Remember, Corinna, there's no editing to this.
No, I would not have made the cut. I'd be out. I mean, no offense, but yeah, no, that was not a prerequisite. I know hundreds of girls who did not sleep with Hef, who are a lot of my friends, we laugh about that. I'm like, no, my gosh, and there again, I don't want to go too far here, but, the public lie irritates me. And I get sad because I love Hef and a lot of us do. And he was a gentleman. And I think anyone that ended up sleeping with him or whatever their private life was, that was their decision because he was I never saw a side of him that was creepy or, and he kind of reinvented himself with the girlfriends. And I think that might've been something that kind of hit him at the end with people who bite the hand that feeds them.
Sure.
But anyway.
And I'm not too familiar with this. Maybe are there any other urban legends that we need to dispel about Playboy Playmates?
Oh, the wild parties and drugs and, because those are things I've heard. Oh, I heard that there were orgies at the mansion. I'm like, well, for one thing, when I was there, it was a family home because Hef was married to Kimberly. They had two adorable babies that, were born, and Marston and Cooper. And it was a family home. So I did not see any of that, even at the parties. And I went to a few of them. But then, once I was married and started my family, I didn't go to the parties anymore. They finally took me off the list. I kick myself in the butt now. I look back and I'm like, why didn't I mean, Hef threw the best parties.
Oh, I imagine, yeah.
Hands down, I have never seen a party. It is so gracious and everything about it, all the details, and very intimate, very private, and a lot of people you wouldn't even believe that, you'd be like, oh, I wouldn't imagine them at the Playboy Mansion. But I never saw anything crazy that people are, think happened.
So just between you and me, tell me some of these people that I wouldn't believe.
Well, no, not just between us. No, I mean, back in the day, when I was there, again, this dates me, just like the video dates me, just like being a playmate back in the 90s dates me. But I can tell you, all the, like Tori Spelling and all of the 90210 cast, because that was big then.
Right.
I don't know that that's a big deal. I don't know that that's really
that would have surprised me.
Salacious. But, and then, lots of different comedians, sports figures. I'm trying to think of someone that you wouldn't imagine being there. But I mean, one of his best friends was Dick Van Patten. He was there for movie night, probably every night for 50 years.
Oh my gosh.
He passed away. But and I can't, someone told me that Hef was very good friends with a Catholic bishop that used to hang out at the mansion. You know, all kinds of people. It was really fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about your first centerfold photo shoot. And what were you before you started the shoot? What were you feeling at that point?
I was terrified. I was on. It was really my first time traveling alone because I had to fly to Chicago. I remember looking at this body of water and thinking, "Wait a minute, are we in Chicago?" Or because I don't think that there's an ocean. And, you know, not realizing how big Lake Erie, and, you know, I had never traveled like that. So I was terrified because I was already very shy about my body. So that was the biggest thing to me, where I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, my boyfriend never saw me nude. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. And I remember being afraid. And I remember being like, God, show me a sign if this is wrong. Just show me a sign and I'll be out. I'll tell them never mind. But everything was so fun. The makeup lady, who's still my friend, Pat, she just made me relax. She thought I was hilarious. You know, she told me, okay, go disrobe and put your robe on. And here I am with my robe, and she's putting my makeup on. And this was for the test shoot. And then the sets were very elaborate. Sarah Cranham is a makeup artist whose father used to build a lot of the sets in LA. And Hef spared no expense. He went all out, and there was a set that this girl wasn't quite working in. And this is how meticulous he was. Not to go off the subject, but I'm just remembering this. It was a bicycle, and it looked like a French, like in the French Quarter, and really cute. And this girl, they just couldn't get the right images, but they didn't want to tear this set down. So they're like, let's just use it for her test shoot. So I go into this, that was my very first experience in front of the camera. I had never, I had done a little bit of modeling. I was in a commercial with Dick Van Patten in the 4th grade. I loved modeling and I danced and all of those things, but I had never really done professional photo shoot, especially not naked. So I was terrified. And so when Hef saw my test images, he thought it was hilarious because his exact words were, I looked like a startled fawn. So.
Well, I think, you're there really, you're naked, and you're not just naked, but you're exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there for everyone to see all of you, which has to be a very, kind of a.
It's a very closed set. That made me feel comfortable.
Okay.
People who have worked with Playboy for years and years made me feel, just looking back, made me feel more comfortable. But yeah, it was very terrifying. It really.
Oh, I bet.
It's very uncomfortable if you're not used to that. A lot of people are they're voyeurs, they're very open and I was not. I've always been very modest. I still am, believe it or not. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to hide myself with the t-shirt over my swimsuit because I didn't like that kind of attention. So it's really ironic that Yeah.
So the magazine comes out, and you open the magazine, And what's your reaction to what you see? Because obviously you probably open up right to the centerfold right away.
My very first anxiety attack. No, I was amazed. I got to see some of the images before the magazine came out. And I cried because I didn't know that I could look like that, if that makes sense. Where I'm like, I didn't know I looked like that. It's the first time I ever felt beautiful. I know that sounds, really superficial or whatever, but that's when I looked at those images, I just thought, wow, because I never, ever, ever thought of myself as attractive. I just did not. I never, I would never be like, oh, look at me. And when I saw those images, I thought, that's me. Wow. Yeah. I did not know, I looked like that. So it was fun.
Because you talked about being first time that you that you felt beautiful, that you really said like, oh gosh, I'm really a beautiful person. And what do you say to people that say that what they do at Playboy and other places, other magazines like that or whatever? But let's just talk about Playboy, because obviously there's different kind of variables in this space. What do you say to people that say that this is just exploitation of women?
Well, I mean, they're entitled to their opinion, and in many ways, I'm sure that it is. But I have a different view of it. I'm not going to sit and look back and think, oh my gosh, I was exploited. I think everything's perspective. And for me, I thought it was a beautiful opportunity. And I take a stance, and this is just my personal opinion. And right now in America, it's probably not the popular opinion, but I love femininity. I love feeling feminine. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I think it's wonderful. I mean, my husband and I have been married for 27 years, and I love to be attractive to him. It feels good. I don't feel objectified. I feel sexy. And I think and that's the one thing that I really appreciate that Hef was doing with his agenda, if you will, building the empire, was to make sex not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Now, my difference in opinion is I believe in sex between one man and one woman. And this might, I'll probably be ostracized because I've never exactly spoken out on this, but I do. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful union. I think that it strengthens our nation. And, even if Playboy and again, I'm going off here, but even if Playboy in many ways might have even contributed to our moral decline, I think that in many ways it also enhanced femininity and helped in certain ways. And I know that sounds so dichotomous, but I just can't imagine. And you were there at the speech that I did, and I don't think I conveyed it quite the way I wanted to in that speech. I can't imagine an America without Playboy. I think that Hef did a lot of good things for America. And I think that he appreciated male and female. And I'm not condemning anybody for I'm just saying this is my personal opinion. I like females. Like, I don't think Hef, like with the new Playboy, I know that he had a transvestite in one of the issues, but Hef's stance was, men are men and women are women. Yes, and it's not, put the little woman in her place. It's the opposite. To me, it's put her on a pedestal, and this is women are beautiful. Women are to be celebrated. Anyway, I don't know if I went, and you don't edit this, you might want to cut that out. No. I mean, what I'm saying would be, highly controversial. Some people, sex is binary. You're man or a woman. Well, I mean, if you die, your DNA, you can't dispute DNA. Right. You can't say, I feel like I'm. It just, that's my personal opinion, but it's also a fact. It's a fact that yes.
You can't, you're either double X or XY for 99.9% of people in the world. I can self-identify as the supreme emperor of the universe, but that's not going to make me
you the supreme emperor of the universe. Yes.
Yeah. So I can self-identify that. It's good for me, and I can give myself my own little participation trophy.
Thank you for joining Dr. Orist and his incredible guest. Like what you heard and learned? Then be sure to do 3 things. 1, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. 2, share this with someone who may need to hear it. 3, leave a review and rate this podcast. Opt in at www.thestandard.academy/magazine and get our free digital magazine with savings, articles, and deeper dives into cool controversy. Be the guy who takes action. Without action, you're not going to get the results you want. Thank you again, and make it a great day.